Understanding the difference between static and dynamic spine is only useful as long as it's helpful. Anything beyond that is fluffy trash. Static spine is measured when an arrow is still, while dynamic refers to an object in motion, so it's measured when you shoot your bow. Let's get to the point. It's shot. Heads up. Static means no motion, so static spine is measured when an arrow is still or not being shot. This is the spine the manufacturers assigned to the arrow, with a 29-inch shaft set on 28-inch pegs with about a 2-pound weight hanging from the middle. You can see it here. How much a 2-pound weight makes the arrow bend is the static spine. Well, dynamic spine means having to do with objects in motion, like me. So dynamic spine is the spine of your arrow as it's being shot out of your bow. The factors that affect dynamic spine come from two things: the bow you are shooting, as well as the arrows you are shooting. Anything that affects the speed of the arrow or the flight of the arrow is going to affect the dynamic spine. So the length of the bow, the poundage of the bow, your draw length, the depth of the arrow shell, the type of string you're using are all going to affect the dynamic spine. Secondly, after you take your factory arrow, your spine is increased by adding weight to the back of the arrow or cutting the arrow shorter. The spine is decreased by adding weight to the front of the arrow. If you want to see a simple arrow tuning video that Kramer made, check it out in the description. The difference between static and dynamic spine is how the arrow bends when it is still versus how it bends when it is shot. Dynamic spine also has way more factors, and the fact that there's so many factors means the factory flak actually favors the archer. Because when you actually act, arrows fly further when you factually find ideas to sit longer doing nothing. What I'm saying is do something, and then do something better, rather than writing a letter about why you can't be an archer. Maybe I took that too far, but let's take it farther. Go shoot your bow and don't let the facts kill the flight of your arrow.
This is how I like to think of static and dynamic spine for practical uses in your archery. First, static spine is the number, as Kaz mentioned, on the arrow that the manufacturer uses, measuring the bendingness, the bendableness through its, well, let's not overcomplicate this. I was going to say, well, some people measure it differently.
Yeah, no, it's the worst.
Measures how much it bends when it's static, it's not moving. So this number is super useful for you when you're ordering arrows. You can use a spine chart or a spine calculator to get the exact arrows that will be closest to fitting your bow. But even after you get the arrows, you normally have to do adjustment. So at one point, Kaz was mentioning all the things that affect dynamic spine, like the string, the length of the arrow, the weight of the point, the weight of the back, how deep the arrow rest is, everything he was mentioning. Those things affect how the arrow shoots. So you're going to be changing the dynamic spine by changing factors on the arrow to make your arrow shoot true. Now you're not actually going to get a specific number measurement when you're talking about dynamic spine, but it might come up in conversation like, oh, your spine's a little weak. You need to change that dynamic spine to make it a little stronger so the arrow flies true. So that's how I practically think of static and dynamic spine. Kaz said he could say it faster.
Static spine is for buying arrows, and dynamic spine is for tuning arrows.
There you go. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you guys soon. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers.
Yes.
Super pumped. So
go shoot your bow.
Go shoot your bow. Out.